Have you ever been addicted to someone or something?
On today's show, Justin and I will be sharing some personal stories about our addictions and how we overcame them.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Queer Network. This is the Queer Talk Show. My name is Justin Gerhard.
And I'm Eddie Fritz. And on today's show, we are going to talk about addiction.
Something that's very universal and a lot of people go through in life.
And there are all kinds of addictions. Today, I am going to talk about my addiction to a person, to someone who I was involved with.
I'm going to talk about my addiction to porn, masturbating to porn. Something that I think a little bit like alcohol. It's one of those very socially accepted things within the queer community, especially. But it became something that I didn't have control over. And that's why I, in the end, realized that for me, it was and is an addiction that I deal with.
How do we overcome addiction? I used to be a smoker. And I tried many times to quit. You know, I did laser and I did hypnosis and all different kinds of things. And the only way that I quit was I really wanted to quit. You know, so when people say, oh, I need to quit, I need to quit. No, you're not going to quit if you need to. If I need to. So I relate this very much to my relationship that I was addicted to. You know, I need to quit this guy. I need to quit this guy. But I didn't really want to. And it really started affecting my health. And that was the big thing. You know, it was the big thing with me was smoking. I started getting pains in my chest. You know, I was watching these commercials with the, you know, when they have to put that little thing up to your throat and they talk like this, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought, first of all, I'm feeling it physically. Secondly, I don't want to die from something that I can avoid. And honestly, it's so similar, I think, to any addiction and how it was with me in this relationship, that it was actually literally making me sick, you know? And so I got to the point where, you know, it wasn't only a need, I really wanted to, because it was affecting my health. For me, I have a life coach now. That's really helping. So, you know, I think therapy.
You've had a therapist.
I've had therapists, and meditation. And, you know, stay tuned for the end of this episode where I'm going to do an affirmation that is related to addiction. But huge. Meditation is absolutely huge. So anyway, Justin, you talk about how did you overcome your addiction to porn?
Yeah, I think it's partly that you have to acknowledge that it's an addiction. That's the first step for me. I think for a long time I was like, this is an addiction. I just like enjoy this thing. And that's where there is some gray area, because for some people this specific activity would not be considered an addiction. Just like for myself, I use the example of drinking alcohol. It's just really not, and I'm not addicted to it because I could stop it and not, I would miss the taste of wine, but not the buzz necessarily of why people drink to numb themselves. And I think similar to the way you said it affected your health, not that all of a sudden masturbating to porn started affecting my health, but the physical manifestation of it affecting my sexual encounters definitely was a wake-up call for me. I was like, oh, no. This is not supposed to make the real encounters not as enjoyable. So that's not going to work for me. And that was a tipping point to have to at least acknowledge it and then deal with it. And it wasn't always easy. It still isn't always easy to say no to it, because it's easy to just do it once and think, oh, it's no big deal. I'm just acknowledging it and trying to be more open about it, because I think that's what gives you the power back in your own hand.
You know, it's just thinking different thoughts. You know, it's thinking, I don't need that cigarette. I don't need that porn. I don't need that guy, you know? And then you just have to keep telling yourself that over and over again.
So to help us have this conversation about addiction, we are going to bring on our life coach. Eddie and I both have Tracy as a life coach. She's been on the show before in some queer conversations, so you may recognize her. And we're going to dive in a little deeper to some of the things we just mentioned to you and get her take and some life coaching skills around addiction. So let's welcome Tracy onto the Queer Talk Show.
Hey, Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
Hi.
So we just finished talking about our addictions. So tell us, just sort of give us a brief, 2 or 3 minute kind of synopsis or whatever on addiction.
When you have an addiction, you are relating to yourself as small, disempowered. No, you can't stand up for yourself. You're actually using this addiction as a distraction to do what you know you came here to do. Didn't have the addiction, you'd probably think clearer. Probably get on with things. You get on with legacy work. Get on with doing the soul's work.
How does one become addicted? What causes an addiction?
The way they think of themselves. Small. I'm not enough. What does it matter?
Mm-hmm.
What does it matter? I don't have any power. I'll just take this drug, or, I'll chase this person around the planet.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And that whole idea of chasing the person around the planet is the same thing is that I can't be me without that person, without him.
Or that
her.
thing.
Or that thing. Right. Exactly. You're saying I have no power. And you actually give away your power to the thing, to the person.
How do we stop this addiction?
Okay. Small victories. Small victories. Just, if it's a number of hours when I just didn't text the guy, that's a small victory. You would have texted him 7 times during the day and you went 4 hours without texting him. Okay. Or you had a craving to look at porn and you said, screw that. The porn will be there. I'm going to put my tennis shoes on and I'm going to go for a run around Central Park. Something.
Small victory.
It's got to be small victories, because we don't get out of our addictions when it seems unsurmountable. Small victories, and those add up to breaking addiction.
And that is what has really helped me. What you've taught me is small victories, that I didn't hear from him and all I wanted to do was message him. And it's like, okay, I went a whole day without messaging him. That was a small victory, you know, and then the next day I went again.
Yeah, our small victories do show us a better side of ourselves, or better angels. Absolutely.
And then we can get back to the soul's work, like you were saying, with the purpose.
That's right.
Less distracted.
And as you said, as these small victories add up, you start to realize, oh, I don't need that person. I don't need the porn. I don't need that cigarette. I don't need that drink. And then you start waking up.
And then it comes back to knowing that you're worthy of just yourself as you are, you don't need something external to complete you.
The reason that addictions are addictions, because they're not satisfying. Eddie, you're not satisfied. When you text, you don't get the text message you want back. So you text again. You don't, Justin, you're not getting what you want from the porn because you go back.
And it started affecting my real life sexual experiences too, with the expectation.
Yeah, it's so unrealistic.
I also mentioned too that I think a lot of people go or have addictions or go to something addictive because they're not happy and they feel like there's something missing from their life. And, you can only find that happiness or whatever is missing in yourself. And you have to find that first so you don't need these other things to make you happy. The
moment that is your opportunity, that very moment, it's like, I'm not happy. Instead of knee-jerk right into an addiction that may not be an addiction at first, but it's like it's going to fill up that, you think it's filling that void. that moment, that's a shadow self. And we love our shadow selves because we can talk to our shadow self and saying, okay, let's look at that. Let's look at that we're dissatisfied. We're unhappy. Absolutely. It's a wonderful opportunity. And the other side is that we turn to an addiction, the outside. We're trying to get the external world to fill our voids when only the internal world can address our voids.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for being with us.
Thank you, Tracy.
We, and I know all our followers and viewers, look forward to seeing you next time.
And if you guys have any questions for Tracy, please leave them in the comments below.
I want to know what you struggle with. Let me hear from you.
Thank you, Tracy, for your words of wisdom. Up next, we have our moment with Lucio.
What is your addiction? Addiction can look like many things in different forms. It doesn't have to necessarily be about a substance or a person or a habit. It can be that we crave something that maybe is not in our best benefit because we think it's not that bad for us. But if we rephrase it to asking ourselves, is it really that good for us? Maybe we have a different conversation. I'll admit that there are times where I know I get scared by certain things that I want to do. But some instant gratification will come in its way, and I will choose that one because I receive something quicker. But the truth is I'm not really receiving my ultimate, my full potential, by prolonging that experience by doing something that might give me more uncomfortability. But when I become uncomfortable, I know I'm going in the right direction. Be patient on your journey with whatever it is that you're craving or falling into. As long as you're falling on your face, you're falling in the right direction. And that is okay. Be compassionate on your journey. Find things to replace maybe that thing that might not be that good for you. And do those things that terrify you. And you'll be surprised where you end up on the other side. My name is Lucio, and thank you for sharing this moment with me, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, Justin, what is our queer spotlight of the week?
This week's Queer Spotlight is the New Fest LGBTQ+ Film Festival. It's based in New York City, but this year everything's virtual. So if you live in America, anybody can watch the festival this year. There are over 120 amazing queer films. I just watched a couple already. I went to the opening night, which was a drive-through theater in Queens, or a drive-in theater in Queens. In our cars, I watched Ammonite with Kate Winslet, Saoirse Ronan. It was fantastic. There's so many amazing films. Go to newfest.org and buy your virtual pass and join us at the festival. All right, Eddie, what are the affirmations this week?
Because we are talking about addiction this week, the affirmation that we're going to use. So we're going to breathe in, breathe out, and in our inhale, we're going to breathe in the words, I can, and in your exhale, you're going to breathe out the words, I will. So let's try that. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, first of all, and let it out. Now, as you inhale, mentally say the words, I can. And the exhale, the words, I will. And that's it. So just repeat that a few times, and that's our affirmation of the week.
Just changes your whole body when you take a moment to do that.
Yeah, it changes, and you know what? It it helps you to just stop and breathe.
Exactly.
Right? And focus your mind on something. And you know, the more that you tell yourself something over and over again, it's going to go into your subconscious mind, and you're going to actually start to believe it, and you're going to start to live it. So Justin, what else is on the network this week?
All right. Well, coming up on Friday, we are releasing a queer conversation we did with Mike Corrado, who is an artist. He's an illustrator, an author of a new book called Flamer. And I'm going to read you a little description. It's the summer between middle school and high school, and Aiden Navarro is away at camp. Everyone's going through changes, but for Aiden, the stakes are higher. As he navigates friendship, deals with bullies, and spends time with Elias, a boy he can't stop thinking about, he finds himself on a path of self-discovery and acceptance. And this book, for both Eddie and I, was a page turner we could not put down.
And we have a little clip to show you of that conversation. What do you want people to take away from this book?
It's important for queer youth to see themselves represented in books and on screen. When I was growing up, I didn't see myself in books and TV and movies and things like that. And I think it's really important for people to recognize themselves in things like that, because it reaffirms that they're supposed to be here, that they're a part of this world. And more than anything, I want this book to be a lifeline for, closeted teens or teens who are having a hard time being out, being young, and feeling supported. I want it to be a lifeline till they find their community. And I also think it's important for non-queer folks to read a story like this so that they can kind of step into someone else's shoes and hopefully gain some empathy.
Sadly, that is it for this week's show. And we want to, as always, thank Jed North, who is our sponsor and provides us with this wonderful clothing. Go to jednorth.com, use the Queer Network code, and you will get 20% discount.
And we want to give a big thank you to Tracy and Mike and Lucio for your contributions to today's show. And thank you everybody who's watching at home. We're so blessed to bring this show to you every week, so thank you.
And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And as always,
keep it queer. Welcome to the Queer Talk Show.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.